Hey everyone, Cloudisms here with 3 more super easy hunter builds. This time we're focusing on the Solar 3.0 updates. I just do want to note before we get into anything here that I'm not really going to cover the last couple tiers of artifacts. I'm just going to cover this one here because it is a super early unlock. Just know that stuff like this are going to be complete game changers. For example, this will allow you to ignite just from getting precision kills. This one will create elemental wells for you with exotic weapons. This one will do increased damage with your ignition. So a lot of these are going to be game changers, including Withering Heat. So just kind of be ready and know that all of these are really going to change your playstyle a ton. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the first build. Alrighty, so here we are with the first build, and this build is going to be focused around the Tarrabah as well as the Shards of Galanar. For our subclass, we're going to be running the Blade Barrage. It's going to pair really nicely with our exotic and the aspect that we're running. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I am also going to be running a fragment here, Ember of Torches, and that's going to be what's causing a lot of my choices here for my abilities. So just keep that in mind on whether or not you want to run the Ember of Torches. It really determines what these are going to be here. So for my dodge, I'm using the Gambler's Dodge. This is simply so that if I miss my throwing knife, I can quickly get it back with my dodge. It's got a much shorter cooldown than Acrobat's Dodge, so I'm using this paired with this to get my Radiance rather than the Acrobat's Dodge. I'm using Triple Jump just out of preference. In this case, I'm using Weighted Throwing Knife, so that whenever I get a throwing knife kill, I get my class ability back. Just by getting a kill, I get the whole class energy back. I also get a guaranteed source of ignition just with my knife. All I have to do is have enough stacks of Scorch going. So basically I scorch an enemy with my grenade, throw my knife at them, and then it'll cause a gigantic explosion caused by ignition. I also get a nice bonus of some more precision damage, so that's something I greatly appreciate. For my grenade, it's mostly going to be preference. Another good grenade is Thermite, or you could even use the solar grenade. I just prefer the incendiary grenade. For the aspects, we're using Knock 'em Down. The main buff that I'm looking for here is the Blade Barrage buff that gives it more projectiles, meaning more damage. Additionally, while Radiance, Final Blows with my throwing knife fully refund the throwing knife. So I can throw my throwing knife as many times as I like, as long as I'm getting kills, and if I miss, I can quickly get it back with a Gambler's Dodge. I'm running on my mark, or on your mark here, simply for the added bonus to reload speed. That's one of the main drawbacks to Tarrabah in my opinion, so I am making that up with this on your mark. I also get 3 more fragment slots from using it, so it's a nice filler ability to allow me more fragments and get some great bonuses for my weapons. So if you don't know how this works, basically if I dodge right before an attack, or right before a fight, I get a 10-second buff of enhanced reload speed and weapon handling, so I can switch my weapons really quick as well. So it's really nice. I can also build this with precision headshots as well. It's really strong. I highly recommend it. If you did want to run Gunpowder Gamble on this build, I would probably recommend to swap it out with Knock 'em Down instead. However, just keep in mind that you will have to mess with your fragments a little bit to get that to work. So again, we are using Ember of Torches. This is so we can build Radiant with our throwing knife kills. And actually, it's not even a kill to build Radiant. You just need to land the powered melee attack on the enemy. And if you don't know what Radiant does, on the left there, it'll tell you what's going on. It basically just gives you a 25% damage buff to yourself and your teammates just by hitting an enemy with a throwing knife. It's very, very good. The information on this isn't super clear, but I would be surprised if this wasn't counted as an empowerment ability. So basically it's the same thing as an empowering well, a well of radiance, or anything else that gives the empowerment effect. So it'll stack with anything that isn't empowerment. Just keep that in mind. Ember of Eruption is the next choice here. This is going to be buffing the ignitions I'm getting from my throwing knife, just giving it more area of effect. We're also getting a nice little plus 10 strength bonus there, which is always appreciated. This is another ignition buff. This is just killing enemies with ignitions will give me more grenade energy. This is easily slotted out if you wanted to run something else. I was eyeing up, what was it? This one here just spreads Scorch to more targets, so I can do more ignitions or help my teammates ignite enemies. That might be something to slot out whenever it comes out. Okay, Ember of Benevolence is going to be fantastic because anytime I give an ally Radiance, it will give me increased grenade, melee, and class ability regeneration for a short duration. Additionally, I'm running Ember of Ashes. This is another one that you're probably safe to swap out. However, I do think that the more damage over time I can get is always going to be beneficial to my build. So I'm always going to have this slotted on. When it comes to building ignitions, if you didn't know, on the left there you can read more about Scorch, but the more Scorch stack you apply, it will give you an ignition. So if I wanted to, and I didn't want to use this guaranteed ignition source, I could use any of these other knives that grant Scorch, which actually looks like it's just the knife trick. I could use this instead to cause an ignition. However, it doesn't seem like the buffed stacks to this actually reduces the number of abilities needed to cause an ignition. So that probably doesn't make sense, but you'll see it in the gameplay when I talk about it. Just know that I like this simply because more stacks equals more TPS, so I'm going to use it. Alright, with that long-winded subclass explanation out of the way, let's talk about the mods we're running. So on the helmets, I'm running Melee Wellmaker. This is because I'm going to be starting every single fight, no matter what, by throwing my throwing knife to get Radiance, so this is going to give me a well if I get a kill. Harmonic Siphon, so that when I'm getting kills with Tarrabah, I'll be spawning orbs. Dynamo here, this is just so I dodge near an enemy and I get my super cooldown. It'll just give me a nice little chunk. Shards of Galanor, for the obvious reason of just throwing it, will do a ton of damage and give me super energy back. And usually if you throw it at a boss, you'll get about half of your super back, which is super, super valuable. We're using Elemental Time Dilation for some reasons we'll talk about later. Grenade Kickstart here, this is just so we get a little chunk of grenade energy back when we throw a grenade. You can pair whatever you like in those first two slots. For my chest piece, I'm running Elemental Armaments. This is just so whenever I'm getting kills with Tarrabah, I'll get nice little wells at sporadic intervals. We're using the new artifact mod that gives us solar and void damage reduction, which is very nice. I'm using a scavenger here and another stat mod. On our boots, we're running Well of Life. This is going to heal us whenever we pick up a solar elemental well over time. I'm also running a scavenger and recuperation, so whenever I pick up an orb that I generated on my helmet, I can heal with it super easy. On my cloak, I'm running Fonts of Might. This is so I get another 25% damage increase to my weapons simply by picking up a solar elemental well. We're also using Bomber to get some grenade energy back by dodging near an enemy. Super easy. That wraps up all of the mods. Also, note that Elemental Time Dilation is going to increase the amount of time that Fonts of Might runs for. So that's going to help us out with just getting more damage buffs over time. So we are pairing Radiance with Fonts of Might, which gives us a plus 50% damage buff whenever we just get a throwing knife kill and pick up the elemental well. It's super, super nice. So that's going to apply to all of our weapons, and we'll be doing a lot more damage. Tarrabah here is going to be a perfect combination because we're going to be clearing out adds incredibly easily, and whenever we do build up our damage stacks that we need for it, we can do a ton of damage with Ravenous Beast, tearing through the adds and boss's health bars. I do recommend you use a sniper or something else that you can expend a bunch of ammo with quickly, not something like a grenade launcher. Maybe a shotgun would work, I don't know. But you don't want to be switching between these too much, just so you don't waste some of that Ravenous Beast charge. For the heavy, I'm using a solar rocket and a solar linear, whatever you like to use. You could put a sword here, you could put a grenade launcher here, whatever you want to do. Just probably use something solar so you can benefit from Fonts of Might. With that long-winded explanation out of the way, let's jump into the gameplay and see how this build works. Alrighty, so here we are with the first build. So what I'm going to try to do right away is get a throwing knife kill. As you can see, get a nice little well, and I also get that radiant buff. If you look at my buffs there, I got 10 seconds just by killing an enemy. Let's go ahead and kill another guy with a throwing knife. Let's see, we got another 10 seconds. You can't do it back to back. Let's see if that works. It's not like terrible, but you can easily refresh your timer. As you can see, if I get another kill, there's another timer increase. You don't even need the kill, you just need to hit the enemy, and that'll buff yourself and your teammates. So let's go ahead and get another elemental well. Just get another throwing knife kill. And you can see my weapons are going to be doing a lot more damage from my radiance and from my solar weapon boost. So if I want that radiance to come back again, just get another throwing knife kill. And we could just shred all of these enemies. You can see my reload speed is really nice with Tarrabah, despite it being the Tarrabah, simply because of my on your mark buff down there. And if I wanted to refresh that, there's dodge. Get all of my time back. Super easy. You can see Tarrabah feels much better when using this. I could easily just pop my Ravenous Beast without it being a huge hassle and just shred some enemies. See, it's going to be doing a bunch of damage. I don't have my buff, so I'm going to go and get that back. I would like to get some off of an enemy, so hopefully one of these enemies will drop another well for me. There it is. And we can grab that. Let's get our knife back and get some more Radiance. There it is. And we can just keep shredding the boss. Let's show off an ignition example here. Hopefully I don't kill the boss with this grenade right off the bat. As you can see, he's scorched. Throw my knife, and then does an explosion. I didn't get to show off the damage numbers there a little bit, so I will cut to a clip of me just doing ignition, so you can see how much damage the ignition itself is going to do. So, other than that, the build here, I hope I showed it off pretty well. It's mostly just to buff your weapons and just kind of kill everything with Tarrabah. I didn't even get to show off my Blade Barrage, so I'll cut a clip of that in as well, how much energy you're going to get back and how much damage it does now. So here are those clips. Alrighty, so this is going to be the ignition test. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first scorch this boss by throwing my grenade at him. So you can see, once he gets hit by my grenade, he's going to have that little fire on him. Now if I throw my throwing knife, you can see I did 33k with the throwing knife itself, and then another explosion happened and I did another 36k. So it's going to be doing already over 60k with just one throwing knife and one grenade, causing a scorch effect. So it's really, really nice. If you ever see your teammate cause that little scorch bubble, see if I can hit him with it. Yeah, if you ever see that on an enemy, always just throw your knife at him right away. And you'll get that extra damage buff from it. Also with our exotic that we're running, the Shards of Galanor, I'll show you how much energy we can get back. And I'm not even going to aim this perfectly. I'm just going to hit these guys a little bit. As you can see, I got half of my super back, and that's the maximum you can get. So you just need to make sure that a good majority of your knives are hitting enemies, and you'll get a ton of your super back. So it's that easy. Hopefully that showcased it pretty well. I have a couple other clips I can show you guys for the ignition, and I'll put those right after this. If you don't want to see those, you can skip to the timestamp in the description to see the next build. Alrighty, so here we are with the second build. In this case, I'm going to be using Sunshot and Ophidia Spathe. For our subclass, we're going to change a couple things. For starters, I'm going to be on Blade Barrage once again. Gambler's Dodge here as well. Triple Jump. We're using Knife Trick this time. This is to pair with our Ophidia Spathe and to cause a bunch of ignitions very easily. If this is just because if we throw these back to back, it's going to instantly cause an ignition, doing a ton of damage, and we can get all of these back instantly with one Gambler's Dodge. So it's really, really easy to get ignitions with this, and you're also going to be able to just spam these knives whenever you want. It's honestly bonkers how strong this is. Since you're pairing it with Knock 'em Down, you'll get your throwing knives back immediately just from killing enemies, so you'll always have these forever. It's insane, honestly. And we are going to be running the Gunpowder Gamble here. This is going to give us another consistent source of ignition. It's just whenever we get ability kills, we get charges towards being able to use this, and once we get it, we just throw it out, shoot it, or just let it be, and it'll explode and do 36k damage. It's really, really, really strong and super fun to play around with. So to pair nicely with that, we're going to be running Ember of Torches to give us radiance just from using our knives. And since we're going to have our knives all the time, we're going to have radiance all the time. We're using Ember of Eruption to pair with our ignitions. It's going to give us more AoE on our gunpowder gamble. It's also going to give us, with our second Ember of Blistering here, it's going to give us Solar Ignition's grant grenade energy. So we're going to be able to spam our grenade as much as we want. Honestly, on this front, you could switch to the healing grenade here, just so you can always be spamming healing. Since you're going to be getting your grenade all the time, you can just chuck healing grenades out instead. It's honestly up to you. At that point, you could switch one of these out for Benevolence if you like. I'm just going to stick with Incendiary Grenade. So the mods are going to be a little different here. On the helmets, we have Melee Wellmaker and Harmonic Siphon. This is going to allow us to get a Solar Well whenever we get a kill with our melee, which we're going to be doing all the time. Harmonic Siphon's, of course, going to pair with our Solar Sunshot. On our gloves, we're running Elemental Ordnance. This could honestly be switched out for whatever you'd like. If you do want the increased duration on Fonts of Might, which of course we're going to be running, Elemental Time Dilation can be swapped out here. Elemental Kickstart for that bump in grenade energy. On my Ophidia Spathe, of course, this allows you to get 2 knives rather than 1, so we can instantly trigger our ignition with both knives without having to dodge or anything. Super simple. We're running Explosive Wellmaker here to pair with our ignitions. We're using Armor of the Dying Star from the artifact for obvious reasons, and a Sniper Resist. You can slot in whatever you'd like there if you'd like to use resistance or whatever it may be. On the boots, we've got Healing from Well of Life. We've got our Rocket Scav. Recuperation, honestly, you could swap this out for whatever you like, of course, so try out whatever you want to use in reserve if you'd want. Scavenger here if you'd like as well. On our cloak, Fonts of Might, as always, to buff our solar damage weapons just from picking up these wells. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the gameplay. Alrighty, so here we are with the Ophidia Spathe build, and the main concept of this is you get a knife kill, you get Radiant, and you get your solar weapon boost for 10 seconds. So I pick this up, get my solar weapon boost. It's super easy to keep these buffs going, just because every time you get a knife kill, throw another one there, and even give us a nice little another well. Every time you get a kill, you just pick up your well, and you get a 50% damage boost on your weapons. Super easy. You see my Shunsach is going to be destroying everybody now. And we can just run through all these enemies. Super simple. I do have my gunpowder gamble ready, so I'll just show you what that looks like real quick. You just throw out that little charge and shoot it. You can see I now have a 10-second cooldown. I think it starts at 13 or 15 or something. Let's wait it out so I can show you how to get these back. I'm just going to dodge to get my knives. As you can see, once this cooldown's out, I'll throw a grenade and kill these dogs. And I got a bunch of charges just from killing that one dog. So once the second one gets killed, I didn't use my ability because I was too close. That was annoying. Let's get another ability kill. Actually, here's a weapon kill. See, I got 1 charge for a weapon. And I believe every ability gives you 4 charges. So now that we did that, our little grenade icon transformed into the powder charge. And I can just chuck it out here. I don't have to shoot it or anything. I can just throw it on the ground and it'll blow up and do a ton of damage. Easy peasy. Now, Ophidia Spathe being the center point of this, it's just going to be get a kill, get your damage buff, shoot the boss. Easy peasy. If I did want to cause an ignition, I just ignite him, throw my knives, he explodes. Easy peasy. I could also just throw both my knives at him, cause an ignition that way. I can also cause ignitions by shooting, just doing a ton of damage that way. We can get both of our knives back and just keep on killing people with our knives. Easy peasy. As you can see, every time I pick up a well too, I'm getting a bunch of energy back. So it's really strong. It's really easy. I didn't even use my ultimate. Whenever you get your super, just chuck it. It's not super important. Hopefully that just shows how strong the throwing knife builds can be. You used to have to use the Roaring Flames buff or whatever it used to be called on the Blade Barrage ults to be able to get these knives running super easy, but now that you can just pair it with the Knock 'em Down, I believe it's called, it's incredibly simple. You just get a kill and get him back. Easy as can be. So that's the second build. There it is. Alrighty, so here we are with the final build, and I'll just say that this build can be adapted however you'd like. It's really strong no matter what you do. In this case, I'm using Stompies. However, you could easily slot in Star Eater Scales here and be strong, if not stronger. You could put on Ophidia Spathe if you really wanted to. You could put on, honestly, there's so many options. I'm sure you could figure out what you like the most. Assassin's Cowl would probably even be really great here with the invisibility and healing you'd get. So kind of play around with it, see what you like the most. I'm a cooldown guy, so I'm always going to be on Frosties. But the main highlight of this build is going to be the Parasites paired with Font of Might. All of the mods are going to be the same. I'll quickly show them off. It's going to be Melee Wellmaker and Elemental Time Dilation with Elemental Armaments. You could honestly, let's swap this out. We might as well. You could put on Grenade, Elemental Ordnance, or honestly, there's so many options. It's really up to you. You could put on Explosive Wellmaker if this was Solar. Oh, I've got it on my boots, but this could be Bountiful Wells or Well of Life. Whatever you'd like. I'm really just kind of flowing through this because you could really turn this into such a strong build with such minimal effort. Like I've got Font of Might here, Well of Life. I've got Armament, sure, Elemental Time Dilation. These are all great. I would honestly swap this out for Explosive Wellmaker with a Solar Chest piece. That's about it, really. The primary, not hugely important. I always run a Sniper. I've got a Solar SMG here, just to pair with Font of Might, Parasite, of course. And importantly, we're switching this out to Deadshot. We've got the Gunpowder Gamble still. And in this case, we're going to be running the Acrobat's Dodge with Weighted Throwing Knife to get our Acrobat's Dodge back. We swapped this out here for Final Blows with our Solar Super, cause targets to ignite. So we're really just trying to make our Deadshot as deadly as it can be. So just getting a kill is going to give me my bullet back, and it's going to make the enemies ignite, dealing 30k to anything near it. So it's super, super strong. It's going to be really viable in GMs, and it's viable everywhere, honestly. So try it out. The other fragments haven't changed. We've got the ignition buffing fragments here to buff both of our super and the Gunpowder Gamble. Super simple. So here is going to be the footage for this build. Alrighty, here we are with the final build, and the main highlight of this build is going to be the super. So let's go ahead and cast that, see what's going on. As you can see, if we kill an enemy, we get a little explosion off their body, which is really neat because we're doing tons of damage with those little explosions. If I actually let them blow up before just shooting them. So we'll just keep blasting people with our super. And since we just killed a ton of people, we can see our little Parasite's already fully charged, and we've got our Gunfire Gamble to mess around with, so let's blast all these guys. It's so strong, man. Also, whenever you enter a fight, you're going to want to do your dodge, and you might as well just get a throwing knife kill to get your dodge back again. And then if we want to nuke a boss, we'll just do that, and everything just falls over, man. I don't know, this build is, it's so easy, and it's compatible with anything, really. You can use whatever weapons you want. Obviously, Solar is going to benefit you the most, but any exotic can excel in this. I mean, I'm running Stompies right now. You could put on Star Eater Scales, and maybe you'll even use the 6-shooter ultimate, or I guess it's called Deadshot now, in your in GMs, because all of the enemies will get destroyed by a Star Eater Scales ult. So hopefully that's just a good showcase of how strong this is with how little effort it really is. Honestly, just any solar weapons, plus this ult, plus, you know, the Gunfire Gamble is insane. I don't know. I honestly can't put it to words how unbelievable this is. I thought that once Void came out, I was never going to take it off because it looks so strong, but this is just proving that everything is going to be busted from now on, so hopefully these builds helped. That's all I got for you. Alright, peace.